Here's the plan. I have no plan.
Well, I do.
Oh, thank Oz.
Haven't you heard? I'm the Wicked Witch of the West.
Wicked for Good, or Wicked Part 2, or even Wicked Act 2. Has it really been a year since I reviewed the first part? Definitely check that out if you haven't. Damn, time is a constant, but it's always surprising. That being said, we finally have the long-awaited conclusion to the Ozian story after the world's longest intermission. I don't know why they decided to drop the Part 2 from the title in favor of the For Good tagline, but whatever, it's fine. It released this past weekend and earned a phenomenal $226 million in its debut, making it way more popular than the first film. A lot of that, I think, has to do with the cliffhanger at the end of Part 1 and Cynthia and Ariana's performances in general. However, I do think the film struggles, just like the stage play's Act 2 struggles as well. There is some lost momentum and an overly negative atmosphere that the movie never quite shakes. It doesn't have enough camp. Now, full disclosure, just like with the previous film's review, I have seen the Wicked stage show on Broadway, and I am very familiar with the music numbers, some lines and scenes, and the general story. So there may be some bias in here, but I did go see the movie with a group of friends who mostly hadn't seen the stage show or knew anything about the story at all, so several of the reveals were quite fun to watch their reactions to, but as usual, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, what is this movie even about? Wicked for Good is the entirety of Act 2 of Wicked the stage show, but with a bunch of added bits thrown in, taking place an indeterminate amount of time after the events of Part or Act 1. I think it's supposed to be a couple years or something. Elphaba is now officially labeled the Wicked Witch of the West and is on a crusade to save the animals of Oz and expose the wizard for the fraud that he is. Glinda is now Glinda the Good and is essentially a mouthpiece for the wizard and Madame Morrible to try and keep the citizens of Oz's hopes up. This story follows the culmination of the hunt for Elphaba, Dorothy's arrival in Oz, and the ultimate end to Elphaba's story. Now, there are a few additions to this part of the show, mostly in a couple of new scenes and songs. Elphaba is given a new song called No Place Like Home, which is about trying to convince the animals to stay in Oz, while Glinda is given the new song The Girl in the Bubble, which details more of her backstory and where she is emotionally. Actually, Glinda has quite a lot of her background story added into this version too. It's not unwelcome at all. Overall, I will say that I like these new additions. They certainly had to be added since the stage show's Act 2 is only about an hour long and this was always going to be a 2.5 hour long movie. However, I don't think these two songs really fit with the tone of the rest of the music. It is very, very obvious when you listen to them. You realize they're not originally part of the show. They just stand out in a way that feels manufactured. Again, they aren't bad songs and they're performed well, but they just feel obviously added in. I'm getting ahead of myself though, so let's do the positives before we get into the negatives, alright? The positives are pretty standard, all things considered. This is another Wicked movie, just like the first. So the cinematography is great, even if there's no real dance numbers. The sets and the environments are bright and colorful and strikingly huge. You can really see a lot of the production value in the sets alone. These are gigantic. It's amazing just how big a lot of these practical sets are. The actors can really run around and explore in them. It's wild. The stakes are much higher in this act, and while the characters are technically a bit more grown up here, they are still fun to watch and interact with each other. And that's really all I have to say about the positives. This is a very enjoyable film to watch overall. It's got a huge budget and incredibly likable characters and actors, and the story is simple enough to follow while also being a step up in stakes from the previous film. I do have some issues with the story, like how all the characters seem to go from 1 to 100, and most of the plot could be settled if some of these characters would just talk to one another, but That's an issue with the pre-existing story, not so much the movie. The actors, of course, are also a strong point. These are some of the best casted characters we've seen in a long time. Do I really have to mention Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande? They are icons at this point thanks to these two movies. Grande already had a career before this, but now the two of them are going to rocket to places we've never seen before. I'm betting on that. One bet that I do have is that Erivo will probably be a guest voice in Has Been Hotel season 3 or 4. I'm assuming that. She's also ex-Broadway, so it fits. She actually got her start in the revival of The Color Purple, so I can't wait to see and hear more of her. I'm sure there's plenty more coming. I do also want to point out a couple of side characters. First is Marissa Bode as Elphaba's sister Nessa Rose. She has such a good voice, and while she only really has one singing part in this production, and come to think of it, she only had one in the first movie as well, it's still quite the standout moment. I want to see so much more of her in various singing roles. I feel like she could easily take a lead role. Ironically, the only thing holding her back is her wheelchair. She's the first actually disabled actress to play Nessa, and it unfortunately shows in some of the choices they have for her. It is extremely frustrating because she has everything. She has the acting chops, she has the voice, she can belt, she looks good, and honestly, she should have been given her own full song like Erivo and Grande got. Justice for Nessa! I want Bode to have a huge career after this. I want to see so much more of her in musicals and acting in general. Chair be damned, she's great. I really want, hope, and think that these two movies are a stepping stone, or I guess a ramp. Is that joke too uncouth here? Whatever. I want it to be a stepping stone to greatness for her. Next, I want to bring up Michelle Yeoh as Madame Morrible. I have seen so many people online slamming her casting, especially for this film, because she just can't sing. She's not a singer, and her singing roles in the film are heavily auto-tuned. I somewhat agree with the detractors about that. I think Yeoh is a phenomenal actress overall, with a huge history of films behind her, and I think she does a great job with Morrible's character and how two-faced she is. But the singing, though, it's definitely an issue. It was kind of forgivable in part 1 because she only had 1 or 2 lines in a song and they were mostly spoken anyway, so it wasn't very distracting. It's kind of the same way here, but now she gets a couple more lines that are drawn out and rather lengthy. Like she gets the defaming our poor wizard with their galamizin lies, that line, and because it's so drawn out, the auto-tune is incredibly hard not to hear or ignore. It just takes you out of it. Either way though, I think she did the character justice, and clearly she is having way too much fun in the post-film interviews. Look at her realizing this hand trick with the MM and the WW. It's adorable.
I think we discovered who is truly the Wicked Witch. WW, MM, WW.
It's true. It's
The last actor I want to point out is Coleman Domingo as the Cowardly Lion. And why is he here? I remember it was big news when they announced the Cowardly Lion had a voice actor a few months ago. For fans of the stage play, they know the Cowardly Lion didn't have a presence in Act 2 at all outside of his tail and a roar from off stage. So when they announced Domingo is voicing him, a lot of people were excited, thinking maybe he'd get a song and an expanded backstory or character, but nope, none of that. He has 2 or 3 lines, doesn't sing at all, and doesn't offer anything to the overall story or the expansion of it. I can understand why they placed him in the scenes they did, but there was no reason for it. He literally adds nothing to the movie, which is wild when the cast is this stacked. And everyone outside of Bowen Yang and Bronwyn James have something important to do and appear more than once. But oh well, sure. I guess that's fine. And that brings me to the negatives. And while I do have quite a few things to mention here, I want to reiterate that the film otherwise is extremely solid, exceedingly well acted, looks amazing, and sounds phenomenal. That being said though, man, are some of these issues frustrating. I understand that most of them stem from the stage play and just kind of continue here, but given how this movie expands the show by another hour and a half, I feel like it could have made better attempts to fix at least some of these issues. The biggest fault here is that Elphaba and Glinda just don't interact nearly as much. They are separated for most of the movie, and when they do finally come together at several points, it's just straight up magic. Their chemistry is electric, and Arrivo and Grande just work together effortlessly. They do add a couple of scenes where they interact where in the stage show they wouldn't, but there's just not enough. That being said, there's also just an overall lack of camp. The first part was absolutely dripping in camp and funny moments, with Glinda's mean girl aesthetic to bubbly blonde and Elphaba's tragic but stoic personality, and how the two kind of butt heads but in comedic ways. This film has one scene where the camp really shines and gets some genuine laughs out of the audience, but that's it. Everything else, the tone is too dreary otherwise, and the characters we love together just aren't together for most of it, so it's frustrating. I do enjoy some of the changes to the stage play, don't get me wrong, but I don't think there were nearly enough. Dorothy still doesn't really have a presence, but is still very funny every now and then when we do see her, and the ending is still solid. But there were so many characters here that we could have explored and had plenty of time to explore even more, that were just forgotten about or left to the side. Nessa would have been great. Give her a song. The girl in the chair instead of the girl in the bubble or something, I don't know. I love that we explored Glinda's background, but Nessa really needed to be expanded upon to better explain and understand the actions she takes in this film. We should have gotten some of Madame Morrible's background too. Definitely not a song though. Again, Yo can't sing, but some background about her history, maybe her meeting the wizard, maybe how and why she decided to work with him. That could have added so much to the story and gave Morrible's character more detail. The Cowardly Lion could have had a song explaining his story from cubhood to adulthood that could have helped us learn more about him. But we get nothing. Other than that, there are some basic nitpicks I have. Some lines were given to other characters that feel a little weird, like Glinda now has the iconic Fiero scream at the start of No Good Deed instead of Elphaba. It's fine, but why? The other issue I have are the two new songs. Like I said before, they're fine, they're pretty, well sung, and the cinematography around them is alright. It's actually really cool and creative in Grande's song, but tonally, they don't fit with the other songs in the movie. They sound too new, and the vibe just doesn't match with all of the other songs. If the whole movie had original songs that all fit tonally, I really wouldn't have an issue, but these two definitely stand out because of it. Speaking of another movie with original songs, because Wicked for Good earned so much money in the opening weekend, executives are reportedly discussing greenlighting a third movie. Now, I have no idea how they would do this unless they tried to adapt Son of a Witch, which is the next book in the Wicked franchise that the stage show is based off of, or maybe if they decided to go a prequel route or go wholly original with the story, who knows. But this movie and the first one made so much money that a third film is more than likely going to happen no matter what, especially with Universal's Epic Universe set to announce an Oz land for their next expansion. It's not confirmed, but come on, the hype is wild and it made so much money. It just makes sense. Of course, this is all speculation, but honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing more. This new version of Oz is fun. The characters are a great spin on the original icons, and the actors here are all incredibly solid. Seeing more of them would be great. Even though I had my misgivings with this film, I would absolutely love to see a third or a prequel. I do think it would need to be tonally consistent with its songs, but otherwise, yeah, I'd be excited for it. So, final thoughts. Wicked for Good is a solid film, a worthy follow-up to Part 1, but unfortunately suffers from all of the issues Act 2 of the stage play has, and while it does try to expand certain characters and justify its bloated length, it still falls a bit flat, and no reading from the Grimoire can fix that, sadly. It needed a whole rewrite. But what we do get is still a spectacle. It's still extremely well acted, and has catchy songs that are absolutely going to be on everyone's playlist for a very long while. I kinda hope we do get a Wicked 3, as I don't think Elphaba or Glinda stories are quite over yet, but until then, this is still a pretty solid finale. Give it a watch if you've even remotely enjoyed Part 1, so ultimately, Wicked for Good gets a 7 out of 10 from me. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around for another one. Yeah, I know, the dragon who sings likes musicals. What are you gonna do? Every time I go to New York City, I have to see a Broadway show. I didn't go to New York if I didn't see a show. Wicked definitely isn't a favorite of mine, but it was really fun, and I remember a lot of the spectacle behind it. I don't remember the actresses when I saw it. I know it wasn't Idina Menzel or Kristen Chenoweth. I'd have to go and try and find my playbill. It's covered in dust somewhere, I'm sure. But anyway, I really like this. I'm kind of curious where they could go for a part 3, even if it would be a part 3. I feel like adapting Son of a Witch would make a lot more sense, and then we could have a full franchise doing the Wicked books, which honestly could be a lot of fun. Maybe if we get the original composers back, they could keep the songs consistent, and we could have some interesting adaptations of these books that I don't think have ever been adapted into film. So that could be really fun. Maybe we'll get them. I don't know. I don't think we could turn them into stage shows, but who knows at this point? People are wild. Anyway, next week we have Zootopia 2, which I'm very excited for. Everything I'm seeing online says it's better than the first one, which I'll be the judge of that. I do appreciate that we're getting reptiles, so that's great. You know me, I'm a reptile fanatic. Of course. Next week we also have some restricted showings of Wake Up Dead Man, Knives Out Tale, which is the third Knives Out movie, which I am also very excited for. I don't know if I'll be able to find a theater showing it in my area, but that's not the case. I know it'll be on Netflix in a couple of weeks. But anyway, what did you guys think? Did you like this movie? Have you seen the stage show? What is the next big Broadway musical you think should get a theatrical adaptation? I've been seeing people talking about Hades Town. I'm pretty sure the next one is Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, I think. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll see, I guess. Let me know in the comments below. After that, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a video, and yeah, that's it. Have a great day, and if you're not, have a better one. See ya.
I'm just a ghost in your stereo, the fading memory of a shipwreck in the undertow. You're just a lost song on your own, and I'm just a ghost in your stereo.